All right, on today's episode, we are going to be replacing the water pump on my 2003 Chevy Tahoe. It's got the 5.3 liter. It is cold outside. I think the high is only 30 degrees. I don't even think we're going to reach that. So anyways, let's have some fun, shall we? Welcome to DIY and Reviews with Bill. If you love hands-on projects, honest product reviews, and saving money, you're in the right place. From DIY builds to testing tools and gadgets, I will break it all down so you know what works and what's worth it. Subscribe and join me as I take on multiple projects, put different products to the test, and try to help you get the best bang for your buck. So without further ado, let's get right to it. All right, so first thing we got to do, get this intake tube off. I'm just using an 8mm socket. To me, that's easier than trying to use a flathead screwdriver. At least for these clamps anyway. All right, and also don't forget, pull the radiator hose out of your tube. Probably should have done that first. Pay attention if you accidentally squash that in like I did. Just make sure to push it back out. So that way you don't disrupt the airflow and everything stays intact. Pull this out of the top of the shroud. Pop this little hose out. Now, having one of these trim tools, whether it be metal or plastic, is going to be really handy. You need it for this right here. You got 4 of them, 2 on each side. In the corner, right here on the front. Same spots on the other side, right there and right there. So I'm going to pop those out. Somebody just threw a makeshift one in there, didn't even have to pop it up and it came right out. So I'm gonna check and see if I have any extras in the other side, the proper size to put back in. Just wedge underneath and pull straight up. You'll feel it kind of pop, lock into place, and then you just pull it straight out like that. Pretty easy. They're gonna be 2 10mm bolts right here. Make sure to keep your nuts and bolts and everything that you take out. Try to keep track of where they're at so you don't lose anything. And now, you just pull it straight up and out. We gotta take our fan clutch off. Hopefully this will fit in between there and not be too fat. I've seen a couple tricks where they put a C-clamp on the pulley and the belt to hold it into place. I'm gonna see if I can potentially knock it loose without having to use that, but if not, we'll use that trick. All right, so it looks like we are gonna have to use the C-clamp trick. Yeah, that worked. If you don't know what the C-clamp trick is, you basically take a C-clamp and you stick the one side on the underside of the pulley here, okay? And then you just clamp down on top of the belt. Obviously, this is not ideal because you could damage your belt. So keep that in mind. You might damage your belt and you might have to buy a new one, but it does work. Again, you can, if you stick your finger back behind here, you can feel the underside of the pulley and you're just clamping it tight to the pulley itself, and then you break it loose and it should twist right off, just like that. Our next step is going to be take the belt off, take the tensioner off. After that, I'm going to drain the system. Then I will be working on pulling the water pump off. Make sure to pay attention if you don't have this diagram or you can't read it. Pay attention to your belt orientation, take note of it, take a picture, draw it, whatever you got to do, so that way you can get it back on the correct way before you take it off. So in order to get the belt off, all you need is a 15mm ratchet or socket and ratchet or wrench, serpentine belt, whatever, but it's a 15mm. Pull it down, loosen the tension, and slip the belt off like so. Be careful when you're relieving it because it has a lot of tension. I'm going to put the camera back down. And then you've got 3 bolts on the tensioner, 15mm. I'm just breaking them loose at the moment. That way I can get my electric ratchet in here, save some time on getting them out. See all 3 of them pretty much. You got one here, and one here. Get you one of these magnets if you don't have one. They save a lot of time and hassle when you drop bolts. Also, whenever you're taking stuff apart, be sure to pay attention to where bolts and everything go, because as you can see on the tensioner, we got 2 longer bolts and we got 1 shorter one. So just try to keep note of that, where these all go. I like to leave it in place, no confusion, but yeah, just keep note of everything. Before I empty this out real quick, I do want to see if I can try to show you where the leak is at. How I found it was with a bore camera. I had to use that because when I got up underneath, I noticed some orange coolant, and I looked all around underneath and I could not pinpoint exactly where it was coming from, because a bunch of stuff was visually obstructing my view. So then I took my borescope camera, whatever you want to call it, and traced it up, and come to find out it's leaking on the right side of the block, so the driver's side. When I'm looking at this, it's on the driver's side of the water pump. It's leaking where the water pump meets the block. So I'm assuming the gasket failed. Hopefully it's not a cracked block. It shouldn't be. Hope not. But anyway, I'm going to show you that real quick. Then we're going to drain it, and then we're going to start cleaning it and prepping it to put on our new water pump and move forward from there. Probably won't be able to get this to pick up on camera, but it's on this side here, up underneath. I don't know if you can see anything or not, but I noticed some wetness there. I believe I took a picture of the wetness. I will post it in the video. I'm gonna go ahead and get to emptying this thing. In case you didn't see my other video when I replaced the heater hose connectors with the metal ones, little tip, get you one of these kiddie pools. These things are excellent at basically keeping from making a mess, from having coolant splash and leak everywhere. Being able to empty it out is kind of hard. So I might try to figure out another trick later on down the road, but for now this thing works excellent. I don't plan on putting the old coolant back in the system. I don't ever recommend that unless you have a clean way to recover it and you know it's really fresh new coolant that hasn't been in there very long at all. This might be the original coolant since the vehicle was manufactured. I don't know. I bought this used. So to be on the safe side, once I drain the system, I'm gonna go ahead and put in fresh coolant. That way I know it's good. I don't know if this Tahoe has a drain cock on it for the radiator. I don't feel like messing with that because they usually drain pretty slow anyway. What I'm gonna end up doing is I'm just gonna disconnect the lower radiator hose and sort of hold it in place until it's completely drained, and then move on from there. It's this guy right here. This is your lower radiator hose. This is what a constant tension clamp looks like. These are really hard to work with sometimes, but you squeeze it and slide it back. Might have to fight with a little bit, but anyway, I'm gonna put the camera back up top and I'm gonna pop this radiator hose off and drain it right here into the pool. There we go. Also take the radiator cap off. That'll help allow it to flow out pretty good too. So looking up underneath, you can kind of see some of the stuff that got wet because it splashes out everywhere. This is just a good way to catch all that. That does not look like a whole lot of coolant. I hope that my radiator's not clogged. Shouldn't be. There's no signs of overheating or anything. While that's draining, the other thing I'm gonna start doing, since I have the pan underneath, I'm gonna go ahead and start disconnecting these hoses. We got 4 more hoses to disconnect from the water pump. Top one here, thermostat, and then the 2 heater hose connectors. So we're gonna take those off, and I have the metal piece for this one right here because this is plastic. I'm probably gonna go ahead and replace it with the metal one since I'm in here. We'll see how that goes. I might actually have to go run and buy a new hose right here because this one's already short enough as it is. From what I understand, those plastic ones are a common failure point too. And since it's all gotta come off anyway, why not go ahead and upgrade it? Learn from me. Probably didn't have to disconnect it from the radiator like I did because I just realized I'm taking off the lower radiator hose completely. You could have just disconnected it from the thermostat housing and pointed it downwards to empty it into the pool. Since I have it off, I'm gonna go ahead and inspect it and make sure I don't need to replace it. It looks pretty good. When you service your water pump or your radiator and things like that, a good practice, if you want to, make sure to try to minimize any potential issues down the road, is to go ahead and replace all the hoses associated with the system. So like, your heater core hoses, radiator hoses, etc. This is a good example of why it's good to have a kiddie pool. You see it's kind of going everywhere. All right, Now we can finally start taking off the water pump. Should be a series of 6 bolts. We got 3 on this side, 3 on this side, 10 millimeter. 1, 2, 3. Same on the other side. I would say to probably not use an impact to break them loose like I just did a minute ago. On the off chance you don't want to shear it off into the block, try to carefully break them loose by hand. And then once they're freely moving, okay, then you can, throw an impact and take them out after that. And I say that because looking at a couple of these bolts, they look a little bit rough. Now you notice I haven't taken the bolts all the way out yet completely. I'm trying to leave them in place so I know where they're at. I can reference it just in case on the off chance that some are longer or shorter than the others. I won't mix them up. Drain the rest of that out. Our next step is going to be to clean these surfaces of any gasket material, get them dry and ready to put the water pump back on. If you're using a razor blade like I'm about to do, make sure you be very, very careful and do not gouge the metal, because if you do, you're gonna create a surface that will not seal and will be a lot more prone to leaks in the future. This has always been one of the parts that I hate doing the most. Very tedious, at least to me. I hate doing this part, especially in some spots when it's tight quarters like it's going to be over here. Try to soak up some of that fluid sitting inside of there so it doesn't leak out into the mating surface and create a problem with sealing. Call that good. So now we're going to prep our new water pump to be applied. All right, make sure the surfaces are nice and dry, clean. Now let's prep our water pump. The water pump I got was from my local AutoZone. It's a Duralast Gold. It came with the gaskets. They're pretty firmly attached. So I'm just going to put sealant on this side of it, because I don't want to risk potentially ruining the gasket by trying to peel this off to put it on the other side and it's actually already adhered to it, and then I rip the gasket and then I got to buy new gaskets and clean the surface of this off. I just don't want to risk that because it feels pretty securely attached. It did in fact come with new bolts already in place. Those look like they're bigger than 10 millimeter. I will check and see what size these ones are, but we're going to leave it as is. Just going to throw some RTV on here and hook it right up. Obviously, whenever you do this, compare it to your other water pump to make sure that they match up. It looks the same as far as I can tell. And also this one did come with the thermostat housing and thermostat itself already in there. We're going to go ahead and put some sealant on here. I got the Permatex water pump and thermostat housing gasket maker. So the instructions on this say to put a 1/16 to a 1/4 inch bead around all the bolt holes and immediately bolt it up to the vehicle finger tight to where it starts to just squish out, and then you let it sit for an hour. After an hour, then you torque it down to spec, and you have to let it sit for 24 hours before you add any coolant to the system. So we're not going to finish this today, but we're at least going to get everything mounted up. We're going to torque it down, get it all hooked back up, and then tomorrow we will be adding the coolant. See, I got it on here. Now I'm gonna throw it onto the block. I apologize if some of these camera angles are terrible. I got the camera in place where I can't really see the screen. So hopefully y'all can see what I'm doing. Very carefully, try to get it lined up. I'm gonna start with the top bolts. That way I can at least let go for a second. These don't spin very freely, and I'm assuming it's because it's got some kind of rubber sleeve in there. I'm trying to do the best I can to hand tighten this down. I'm gonna use the ratchet and just go really slow and easy. Yep, 13 millimeter on the Duralast Gold here. And the one that I got did not come with the fan clutch. So I didn't tighten those down very much at all. So in there you can see it's squished out. So now we're gonna let it sit for an hour. And then we're gonna come back, do one pass at 11 foot-pounds, and then a second pass at 22 foot-pounds. Sorry for the lighting here, it got a little bit later in the day. It's been over an hour, so I'm gonna go ahead and torque these down and go in a crisscross pattern. First round's gonna go to 11 foot-pounds. Now we're gonna go to 22 foot-pounds. Double check all of them. That's why I always go through them again, because sometimes it'll move just a tiny bit more after you torque all of them down. That could also be, you know, due to the slight variance. You know, you never get the same exact torque every single time. All right, so that's all torqued down to spec. All we got left to do is just to reconnect all the hoses, install our fan clutch, and then wait till tomorrow to fill it up with coolant. I'm gonna go ahead and get started with putting everything back together. Get this lower radiator hose back on here. Now I get to fight with the one underneath. I'm gonna replace this with a metal one. In case you need part number the one I'm using is the Dorman 47157. This kit did not come with the hose that you need to connect from this to the water pump. It's supposed to be 3/4 inch hose, and that might not be correct. The guy at AutoZone did say that it's probably gonna be a hard time getting it to fit on there because, you know, how they designed the kit. And yeah, I don't think that's gonna actually work. So yeah, that's probably gonna be a 1-inch tube, which is not good because this does fit on the water pump, but it's looking like it's not gonna really fit on here. I might have just created a headache for myself. Well, I guess I'm gonna spend the next few minutes trying to force this thing onto here. This is not working very well. I cannot get the hose all the way on there far enough to be able to put a hose clamp. So my goal is to reuse this one. And what I did is I basically took a pair of wire nippers like these, and I pressed it up against and I snapped it off right here at the hole on both sides. And on the other side I did the same thing. Be able to pull that connector off. Now, try to wiggle it off here. Come on, should not be that hard. Okay, so what I basically had to do is take these channel locks and come up here and crush it and break it to be able to get this piece off. Because you can see this opening is bigger than this opening. This is the side that needs to go on the water pump. This is the side that needs to go on the metal connector. Luckily, hose isn't torn or anything, so we're gonna go ahead and use this piece and go from there. And if anybody has any other tips as far as this part goes, please let me know, because this was an absolute pain. All right, and then I'm most likely gonna have to use a regular clamp on that. Forgive me, this is gonna look terrible because I don't have the right size hose clamp, but it's gonna, yeah, obviously it's a little bit big, but this will work. All right, got my goofy clamp on there, but I don't care as long as it doesn't leak. Back to the Tahoe. That's the other thing you guys wanna keep in mind. This hose coming from the heater core, I bought an extra one because I didn't think it was gonna be long enough because it was already kind of short whenever I did that up there. So I actually have to replace this whole hose right here with the new one to ensure that it fits. But I'm gonna go ahead and connect this one here, and then I'm gonna replace this one. Oh, well, that's a pretty snug fit there. That was a pain in the butt. I'm gonna replace this heater hose later. I'm gonna go ahead and do the belt and the fan clutch and all that, upper hose, and then I'll leave this for last. You can't see what I'm doing. It's the reverse process. You're just pretty much reversing everything that we did, but hopefully you can see everything. I'm gonna keep moving on here. Yeah, it might help if I actually throw on the tensioner first. Okay, just so you guys know, I do not, for now, I do not recommend that metal Y connector from Dorman, the junction connector. because I couldn't get the stuff to go on. You know, I tried and I fought with it, and it's just not cooperating. I'm still gonna try it with it off of the vehicle, but I don't feel comfortable or confident recommending it. Just buy the replacement connector, or if it's not damaged, leave it alone. All right, guys, I apologize for the reassembly portion of it. I was trying to show as much as I could, but also I'm freezing my butt off out here. It's extremely cold out today, or tonight, I should say. I was hoping to get a little bit better views and better lighting, but things kind of went the wrong way and took a lot longer than expected. One quick note, though, I want to show you before I shut this video off for today, and then, you know, obviously we're going to come back tomorrow. But whenever you're doing this, if you're doing this, the passenger side connector there, or sorry, driver side, the one that's closest to the driver's side, the Dorman connector, be careful whenever you're replacing those, or not replacing, like, so in my situation, I wasn't replacing it. I was taking it off to be able to put the new hose on, or try to put the new hose on anyway. But the plastic part that goes inside here, that you pinch to release it, I don't know if I'm assuming it's because it's pretty cold outside, and obviously when it's cold, things become brittle. I squeezed the tab, the plastic tab, to slide this off, and it actually broke. So I went to go warranty it out at AutoZone, and they said they don't have a warranty. So I'm pretty disappointed. This is a Dorman. I thought I had a lifetime warranty. Maybe I imagined that. This is the 800-403 HP. I'm gonna look into it, because I had to basically buy a whole nother one on top of the heater hose setup anyway. So that's gonna be it for today. I'm gonna come back tomorrow where we're gonna fill it up with fluid and bleed the system out of, you know, the cooling system of air pockets, and, you know, make sure everything's running good and we don't have any leaks. So we'll see you here shortly. It's been 24 hours. I put some coolant in there. I forgot to record before I started doing this. So before I started it, I put in a gallon of coolant, you know, 50-50, and then I've got it running. I started it, the coolant level dropped, and then I filled it back up, and I'm letting it burp out now. You can see, I don't know if you can see or not, but the coolant level is right about here. So I'm gonna go prepare some more coolant to be able to keep this topped off while it's burping. I need to let it get up to temp so that thermostat can open and let the air pockets continue to come out. So I'm gonna go mix up some more coolant, and while this warms up, and we'll be back to finish letting it burp and topping it off. All right, so it's up at operating temp. I left, you know, this cap open, let it bleed. It's pretty full right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and take it for a test run. Everything should be good to go. Hope this video was helpful. If you found it helpful, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned because there's more to come.